Welcome, welcome, welcome. See, I'm still getting set up. Give me a couple minutes and get going. All right, we are going to continue with a little notes test app. The test app loads the VFS, which is what we're going to be testing eventually. We will also use it to test the proxy and other pieces, but big goal is to get VFS tested and the replication system in place. Issue that is currently happening is that we are unable to get connection. We see this pool timed out error after we do this. I last night waiting, putzed around a little bit, converted the app to use Foundations Crate. So we have a little config file. It's listing up for 8081. The DB path is pointing to this location, FIFO here. This stuff we're not really touching. We have the verbosity set for the logging. Most of this is just boilerplate from Foundations. What's interesting to see is that dev1 appdb test.db3, it exists. I know the structure is wrong, but it does exist. So when we run this from the top level reverb directory, we should be getting a connection. What happens is it sits there and fails on us. Yep. Can't connect to DB. Pool timed out. Now, if we were to give this a different path, let's say DB law, save it, it errors out much faster, unable to open the database file, which is quite a different error. So it's finding the file, but it's not able to get a connection from the pool. So I must have this misconfigured somehow. Get the extension, file name, journal mode. Yeah, let's try this without the extension. File name. You can see that it's finding it due to our last test. Write ahead logging should be okay. Give it 5 seconds. I don't know why I chose 5. Wait, is it working? No. Oh, no such column ID. So it did connect. Fascinating. That probably means that our extension didn't get loaded correctly. I know that when I was using RescueLite, it worked. Let's change this back to VFS. Forget what happens when we do this. No such VFS. The reverb VFS. Well, if it's an extension, it's fine. So I wonder what's going on. Let's put this back. Let's go to the VFS. I had been playing around with some of this here. If we comment this out, I don't think it's used yet. What happens? This is an open. In the open call, save more properties for later. We copy the FIFO around. Wonder how far this is going to cascade. I sound like a Bob Ross. Well, I kind of like watching Bob Ross, and thank you. This one we can ignore. We're just looking for VFS piece. Mutation FIFO. We leave that unset. What will explode? Nothing. Okay. It's just a happy little accident. Okay. So it was the FIFO. Oh, that's why. Okay, I know what was happening. I know what was happening. This one's a happy little variable. Yes, that's right. Morning, turquoise. How you doing? Okay, so the mutation FIFO, the reason why we couldn't get a connection from the pool is because that there wasn't anything opening the other end of the FIFO. And the FIFO, by default, I believe blocks. So let's go back into here. Let's set that. Come back. Interesting reminder. So what's happening? We get the path to the FIFO, and this is when the VFS is trying to open a connection, connection to the SQLite database. Check to see if we can get some metadata about it. It needs to be a file, it needs to be a FIFO. And FIFO file. We open it and wait. Now, what happens when you open on a FIFO? I believe it's essentially like a channel that we can use to communicate in a process. Um, in the proxy, no, not the proxy. Where was it? It was in, it's been a while now. DB mutation. I had some code that I was going to put there. Data plane. We use this create FIFO function to actually create it. This is coming from the interprocess crate. Ideally, this listener opens the FIFO. So we create it. This doesn't return it, does it? It just returns a result of unit. Listener, let's see. It's been a while since I've looked at this code. Fix me. It's using TokyoNet Unix pipe. We open the FIFO. I see. So really, if the FIFO is not opened by the listener, then the sender isn't going to be able to add any data to it, or it waits until the other end is also open. It's like a tunnel. If you open only one end of the tunnel, you can't get through to the other end unless it's open as well. So it blocks. Don't want to use local sockets. I want to use FIFO files. Smoldering flame. Good morning. Coding's going all right. Bump into little, unexpected pieces in the dark, like this morning, but I'm gonna figure it out. Special type of file, which is similar to unnamed pipes, but exists on the file system, often referred to as named pipes, but completely different from Windows named pipes. Got it. So ideally, we have the listener started before the application, which is what should actually happen. Let's see, who calls this code? Data plane name. Okay. Spawn a task and the join set with that. Okay, so let's start one of these. I'm going to put this one, the test app, in the second tab. In the first tab, We'll run. Let's see. Data plane. Data plane. What is in that config file? How is it going to know where the FIFO is? I think I want something like this here as well. Yep. I deleted that. Okay. Hmm. Wrong one. No. Too many things open. Let's close. Data plane settings. Go. Okay. Settings now has a mutation FIFO path. Does it need to have a default for it? Probably. That seems as good as any. Oh, this is in the wrong location. It's much happier now. Is our FIFO path? Let's run it. Okay. Oh, could not begin exclusive. Ah, it's locked. Try again. I check some complete. See if it actually. Great. So it's trying to make the database query, but I did rename the ID column, which is completely fine. Let's just make sure. Where is? Oh, it's in examples. Getting lost. Examples, notes, main. So we are loading the extension. Everything's connecting now. There's two ends of the FIFO being connected. We're not doing anything with that yet. It's part of what we'll be working on. Maybe not today, but in the future. Let's see, where's my water? Okay. Let's see. We have that connected. Great. It would be nice to have a different kind of error. Can't connect to DB. It's not quite right. It's closer. Okay. Now, the other day, let's get that console out of the way. The other day, we commented a bunch of this out. It was just used for tossing data into the database and basically generating a lot of write ahead logging, as you can see. Let's see. We want to be able to post and use templates. So let's keep focusing on that. There's a lot we can come back to. There's a lot to do. Let's try to focus just on this piece. So if we can connect to a database, in this case, we probably want to create it if it's missing. And then we want a connection. We want to run the migrations. So we have a connection. How do we run the migrations? Now, SQLX has a migrations API. So the migrator can create a new one of those, pass in a source, which we might have to implement. And then we run the migrations. What is migrator? In this case, something that can acquire. Is that the database connection? Yeah, it's the pool. Okay. Do default implementation. A migration source is a directory which contains the migration SQL scripts. Okay. Vector of migration. Now, migration is interesting. Version, description, type. Simple, up or down. Got it. The actual content, the checksum. Fascinating. No transaction. So we would have to create these from the SQL files. Yes. Well, I think that would be useful for future projects to have around the ability to embed these. Feels like something we would do at compile time. Would list out a directory, generate some code, add that to some module. What does that look like? Something like that. I wonder if somebody's done this already. It's always a good question to ask. SQLX Migrator. Migrator for writing SQLX migration using Rust instead of SQL. Okay. What if I want both? Let's see what it does. Usage. It's not quite what I want. I want to be able to run the migrations using the CLI if I need to. And this is all baked in. What do we want to call that? Is this a crate that we would want to publish? Maybe. Like SQLX embedded migrations. Hmm. Also migrate. A new project. Who knew we were going to do this today? I didn't. Argo. New. Dash lib. SQLX. Embedded migrations. Sure. Let's open a new Z window. File, new window. Dun dun dun. All right. Edition 2021. We gotta fill this out. Do that later. Dependencies, we need SQL X. We definitely need the migrations API. Version is equal to that, and features quite. We want migrate. Now, what do you do if you're building a crate that is used at build time and not runtime? I guess you document them. Wow. What do you mean? Huh. A build something like that. Now, we would want this in here. Let's add that. SQLX. Let's close. Go up to examples, up one more. Oh, and this is build time dependency. Oh, how do you do a build.rs for an example? Hmm, haven't thought about that. Let's just see. Let's create one. Have some sitting around. Mm, migrations, cargo manifest directory should be examples. Then we want notes, migrations. Hey, good morning, Nightshade dude. How are you? So at this point, we also want to use SQLX. Um, what do we want to call this function? It's more like a function, isn't it? What do we want this to look like? We want a do something, want to give it a path. Notes migrations and something else like the destination path to a module. You want me? Well, thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's getting cold outside, so life's pretty busy. But started streaming again just to have a little respite, maintain sanity, all that. Let's see, do something. Cargo manifester. We want this to be notes. Embedded migrations, maybe. Generated. It's been snowing there for 2 days now. Goodness night, you dude. Yeah, we just have frost. Is it sticking? Brooke Zerker. It has been a while. Yeah, I'm doing well. Doing well. It's good to have you. Happy Thursday. Week's almost done. You've shuffled several times already. Wow. Okay. Oh, let's see. Iter.select into a path buff. Something like that. Oh, generate. Wow. Okay. So we want the source. And a destination. Hmm. Thinking through this, what do I want the output to look like? A single file? That might be best. That way, we don't have to worry about removing extra files that get generated. We just overwrite the same file over and over and over again. That solves the cleanup issue. Maybe something like that. Just trying to be explicit with the naming. Is that what we would want it to look like? And then we just fill the contents of this migrations.rs file. Let's try it. Use of undeclared crate. No. SQLX embedded migrations. That is. We obviously can't do hyphens here. Hmm. I don't. This obviously isn't having an issue. If anything, it shouldn't be able to find this function that doesn't exist. Oh, is it? Hmm. Spelled it correctly. SQLX embedded migrations. Looks good. Oh, function. What do we call it? Generate those mains. Yeah. Generate migrations. Where we're going to take a source directory, path buff, and a destination source. Two of those. Oh, that's a horrible, horrible autocomplete copilot. Just give me a to do. There we go. I go check dash examples. Example notes. There we go. Use of undeclared crate or module. Oh, that's because dev isn't the right one. It should be build dependencies. Now it finds it. Great. If we do this again, it should fail because we panic. Hmm. Could not compile that due to two previous errors. Oh, sure. Yes, yes, yes. Now compile and panic, please. Perfect. Okay. So let's add some comments here. Maybe we should call it embed migrations. I like that better. Maybe I'm still thinking about sleeping. Okay. So at this point, we want to what? Iterate over the files in the migrations directory. We want to ignore the ones that don't match the proper format, that are not SQL file. That's a good start. What is our code here? No, here. So this is basically the rules, right? Must be stored in files named blah. Version is a string that can be parsed into I64, and description is a string. Okay. And what it doesn't say is that a migration could have up and down. So they could be reversible up, reversible down. And what does that look like? We'll have to get to that. I think that information is embedded in the file name as well. So we just test cargo is equal x dash dash f, migrate up again, and okay, so we want to see what dash r does. It has a dot up and a dot down. Fascinating. Otherwise, interesting. I was not expecting to have an up and down. If true, we did not include it that time. Was it because there was already a pair in that directory? Let's delete that and find out. Go ahead and trash that. So here, no dash R, something else, it creates a single one. And then, oh, I did not realize this. But essentially, when you use the migrate tool, all of the files in the migrations directory will follow a pattern. So they will either be single migrations or reversible migrations. That's interesting. I did not realize that was the case. It seems like you would always want to have the pair. Unless you're living on the edge. What do they call that? Rolling forward. Never roll back. You need to undo something. You undo it with a forward migration. Okay. Well, I don't think our code has to be aware of this. If somebody has a mixed directory of one and the other, that's that's on them. I'm not going to handle that. Some other error. Okay. But we can definitely test using both of these. Okay. So how do we, for as much as I do in Rust, I don't list files very often. Reader. Transit iterator. So we get a dir iterator. Okay, parent directories are skipped. Oh, interesting. If reproducible ordering is required, that would be good. So you need to sort the entries. Yeah, that makes sense. We probably want to do a filter. Okay. Standard file system read dir. Path is going to be the migrations directory. Now read dir, return a result. Before we get too far with that, let's check to see if that is a directory. How do we check? We can see if it exists. If we want to know what it is, we could get the file type, check to see if it's a directory. Hmm. If it's not, okay. Maybe not a panic. We should be returning some sort of error here. So if it's not a directory, we want to. Man, my legs are aching today. We use IO error. Looks like we can. Okay. Standard IO error. Not a. Come on. I want to flip back and forth between light and dark. Let's go light. Ooh. Here? No, dark. Sorry about that. Not the directory. Oh, it doesn't know what error kind is. Anything else that we have to give it? And the error E. Getting flash. Yes, exactly. Sorry about that. Trying not to. Okay. This would simply be return error. What? Expected oh, we didn't box it. Oh, interesting. IO error more. Let's take a look at that. Wait, how do we get to that? Can I just click? Oh, oh, is this just is a directory error kind other? Ooh, okay. So we return that error if it's not a directory. Great. Iterate over all the files. Now here we get an IO result. Let's toss that if we need to. Oh, filter map. Boom, boom, boom. Look at this. Oh, and it's even got a rerun if changed. Is this even correct? Now we read the code. Filter map entry. Filter map. Why do we care that it's okay or not? It's a result. Okay. We don't need it to be an option. Why call A on it? See, this is like the subtle weirdness of more complex Copilot autocompletes. Only be used on options, not results, in a closure that returns an option. Why are we returning an option? Oh, because it's some or none. Filter and map needs to return an option. I see. But we're throwing away the data. Huh. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, what should we do if this is an error that needs to be handled? Just discard it and not say something? It doesn't seem right. Hmm. We're going old school. And entry is result still great. Let's unwrap it. And now, if that error needs to be handled by whatever is calling this in their build system, they can handle it. Yep, we'll get there. Okay. Do we want to check the type first? Because if it's a directory or something weird that ends in .sql, that's going to throw us for a loop. Let's check the file type. OS string. Okay, there we go. To stir, unwrap. Mm, let's see. We want this to actually be a error. Now, is error implemented for what? Blanket implementation, standard IO error, on standard error. Huh, fascinating. I like it. Oh, and then if it has to be send and sync, etc. Okay. So if it ends with .sql, we push it onto the list. Now, it needs to end with .sql, but it also needs to have a number at the beginning that can be parsed into, what was it, I64? I64. So we need to check the first set of digits. How do we split? What is file name? File name at this point is, oh, it's an OS string. Let's just save that to a variable. There we go. There, we can split. We want to split on underscore. We only want the first one. I wonder how we should actually generate Rust code. Just big templates. Or do we actually use something to well, properly generate it? ID equals error. Sorry, I'm thinking. Okay. Now, in this case, ID is valid. Great. I almost feel like we need some other data type as we start to collect this information. So we have the ID. We could very soon have the description, then whether or not it's an up or a down, and then the contents of the file. Hmm, okay. And I do think we want to collect this info. I don't really want to depend on SQL. I guess we don't have to depend on SQLX, do we? We just have to generate code that SQLX can use. Yeah. So the question is, do we want, I guess it wouldn't matter because this would be a build dependency and not a runtime dependency. I was thinking that maybe we could force the users of this to use a specific version of SQLX, but I don't think that would work. And it seems a little heavy-handed, maybe a lot heavy-handed. So let's not do that. But we do need to know what sort of data we need to keep around. I'm just going to copy this. Go. And we need migration type. Let's see. For us, does it matter that these are cows? Oh, the checksum we'll need. Okay. At this point, source files are now migrations. We will push a new migration into the array. We have the version. That's the ID. And we could call it version. Why not? Description is everything after the split. Maybe we should. We could pull these out into little functions. Something like that. What would that look like? Next version, .NET parse. We want a better error there. Oh, missed the split. Okay. We didn't handle the case that it did not begin with an underscore. Is it an error if there's a .sql file in that directory and it's not prefixed with an underscore? Do we just ignore it? And what if the first thing, I think we do ignore it. Maybe this error is it's actually a problem. What if somebody just had a file name in there? It's like maybe they commented something out. They had a file name, blah, with an underscore or a old underscore, and then a number, my cool migration or something. Okay. So we give it a file name. We will not return a result. We'll return an option. Just map that. Option. How do we option? So file name, we split, which is an option. Oh, that's an iterator. Split's an iterator. Next is an option. Map. Oh, and then string parse if it's okay or not. There we go. So we have migration version. That's an option. Interesting. Let some version. We'll just chain these. Okay. Description. Let some. Maybe we could get version and description out of this. Version, description, and whether or not it's an up or down. Let's see. Now we need to collect everything else. No, just keep it simple. This is almost right. It doesn't know that the whole description is everything except for the first one up into the first period. So maybe we split it on the first period to get the first section and then just trim off up to the first piece. All right, so we have the file name. let's see, start equals and find underscore. Great. 71521. How you doing? Happy Thursday. So we find the first underscore. Perfect time to enjoy the stream. That should be on for another 20 minutes or so. Okay, so there's our examples. We're going to find the first underscore. Great. Now, at that point, we need to increment and find, I guess at this point, are we expecting that this is well formed? I don't know that we are. I guess it has to be because if migration version fails, if this next does not find an underscore, then it will return none. So there must be an underscore at this point. We're not going to use split. Start. The one passed. Let's end. No, it's not an R find. This is still a find. We want to end there. And then we want the center portion to be the description. Let's make this owned. I don't really care for the cows here. I want to deal with that right now. We'll move the iter there. Let's say we want file name start dot end to owned. And this will be an option to string. See, I guess the only possibility of not having an option, given that migration version must have found an underscore. You know what? Could do this more cleanly. Oh, sorry. Is if the description has no length. So let's change this a little bit. If like some start to put a file name. Okay. Is that the same as what it was doing though? So in this case, find returns not a result, but an option. So we return if there's none, which works out pretty well. Again, here, if end is greater than start, then we do that. Else, none. Okay. Let's write a test for that. Is this the same? Wow. Okay, file name version. Great. Description, do something silly. Okay, that was useful. That was creepy and useful. Ran two tests and they passed. Let's do failure tests. What? Hmm. Hey, Nightshade dude. Oh, wait, I already said hi to Nightshade dude. You're replying. Got it, got it. Super. Migrate version. Let's say that somebody used hyphens instead. So why not? Great, still passes. Let's do a negative test on this as well. Um, File name is one underscore dot SQL. It should be none because there's no length. What was the other case? Oh, if it couldn't find a dot, of course. Great. We have our description. Migration type. Ooh, didn't get that one yet. Okay. Here we do content checksum. What does checksum mean in this case? Is this so we could go look? Is it the content checksum or it's file name checksum or I mean I'm really thinking it's the content. Oh, when you create a new, there is no checksum. Does new checksum it? Come on. Migration. Migratin. There we go. This is, oh, SQLX Core 081. Wait, is migration a new thing? SQLX migrate. Let's go to 081 and then check the source. Does not exist. Nice. Okay, let's go look. Let's go to the repository. Uh, is it in core? Source, logger, yada. Let's just go to file. Test migrate. Okay, source migration. It does have a checksum. New does not take checksum. It creates a checksum. So we don't have to worry about the checksum. Okay, and it does look like it is checksumming the actual SQL. Got it. So we do not need the checksum. Let's get rid of it. Too far. All right, and no TX. How do we know if it's a no TX? Cargo SQLX dash run. Is it? I don't migrate. And sequential. Hmm. I'm not sure how one would know what this is from the file. It doesn't look like there's a way to say whether or not it's a transaction. Hmm. Maybe we go look at the source again. Source. Nope, wrong. Let's go to the repository. Find migration. Oh, that's the wrong one. We don't want this CLI. It's this one. It comes from a SQL comment. Oh, isn't it? Oh, interesting. Okay. And they do a two-string lossy on it. So that's fun. Oh, they're using split N. That's useful. Yeah, we're basically doing exactly this. All right. Grab that. A moment. Thank you, Museum. like the other pattern. Let's see, if we did pull this into its own file, that returned option or a migration, then we wouldn't have to nest these. We can bail early. Well, we can clean that up later. Let's not see build the ivory tower when we don't have all the pieces. All right, so migration type, we're looking for up or down, but side. Hmm. And migration type is one of these. Got it. Well, is this what we would want? I mean, it does it. And this is something I've been wondering about. As software engineering tools improve such that we get, autocompletes like that, where it gave us, 8 lines, at what point do we stop and say, that's good enough? I just saved myself 30 seconds. Let's go on. I'm sure there's, better ways to do that, arguably. Right? Like so. What are they doing here? Reversible up, reversible down. It's doing the same thing. Oh, it looks like it matched you. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, they just have it codified. But how do you get the ends with? Is there a R split N? There is an R split N. Strip suffix. Let's look at strip suffix. Ah, gotcha. Gives it to you without the suffix. So R split N, maybe. Returns an iterator over subslices separated by elements that match predicate. Okay, limited to returning at most n items. So we could return two and then what, join them? It feels weird. Or we just look at second item. Hmm. It's just weird. I like how this reads. R split once. It's nightly only though. Splits a slice in the last element that matches the specified predicate. Head, tail, split from the end of the pillar. Yes. It wasn't nightly. Oh, it's on stir. I'm looking at slice. Thank you. That is nice. It feels very Erlangish, having a head and a tail and just taking the last item off. If we did use dot on this, we would have to do it more than once, wouldn't we? Yeah, it complicates things. That's pretty cool, though. I think I'm going to leave it with ends with. It's clear, it's readable, seems could be maintainable. Well, good morning, Azrael. How are you? Oh, um, I feel like I should spend more time in the ends with is better. Oh, you're good. Let's see, Azrael says, good, changing out your bespoke STL3 for a new crate someone made. STL3 says, nice. Yeah, I'm using that. That just looks it's a bit much. Um, what were we doing with it? Oh, migration type. No. Yes, yes, yes. That's what it was. Migration type. Okay, SQL. And that will come once we have the content of the file. And then we'll use this to just generate some code and that. And I want to flatten this out. I'll put it in its own function so we can bail early. A little easier with indentation. But the time is near. I must bail. Thank you all for hanging out. I'm gonna wander off and do work stuff. So thanks for hanging out. Till next time. Bye bye.